In the midst of the apocalypse, people were so desperate for a morsel of food that they were willing to kill each other for it. The protagonist was given a second chance at life, this time with a special system power. Now, the question is whether the protagonist will be able to take revenge with this new opportunity. Will he be able to survive during the apocalypse? The story begins on Junction Road, where a bus was speeding down the road. All the passengers were seated in their seats. The passenger in the green shirt was unhappy about leaving this place, but he had no other choice because, a few days earlier, an earthquake under the sea in the eruption of Mount Fuji had claimed thousands of lives. The girl in the pink dress seemed a bit troubled because she had left in such a hurry that she hadn't brought anything with her. Now she would have to get off at Jiangnan City to buy supplies. Suddenly, the passenger in the green shirt asked her in surprise if she hadn't seen the news. All the goods from Jiangnan City and Ali's warehouses had disappeared. Hearing this, the girl's astonishment grew. Listening to their conversation, the passenger with short hair told them that this news was now old. Today in Shenzhen, Dongming Lake had dried up, and all the goods from the Darundong warehouse had also vanished. Upon hearing this news, the girl was even more shocked and began to estimate that the total value of these goods would be in the hundreds of billions. Then, someone from behind told her that, in his estimation, the total value of the goods would be in the tens of trillions. Hearing this, all three turned around to look at the person. This individual was none other than our protagonist. He went on to say that the shortage of goods and various incidents were just the beginning. If you look carefully, you'll realize that the end of the world is now very near. Hearing that the end of the world was near, the girl in the pink dress started to panic. But to the boy in the green shirt, all this seemed like a joke. He said that if the world was really going to end, he would definitely want to see it. Because at that time, there would be no big or small. Everyone would be equal. Hearing this, the protagonist thought to himself that even on the last day of the world's end, not everyone would be equal, because he had already seen all this with his own eyes before. In his previous life, the protagonist was just an ordinary delivery boy. He had seen how, during that time of destruction, solar energy had spread in a strange way. The temperature of the atmosphere had risen significantly. As a result, the surface of the Earth began to stir, and dangerous creatures hidden beneath the Earth emerged. The whole world saw the extremely dangerous effects of this. As the shortage of goods continued, people began to fight with each other even for a packet of instant noodles. And women began to trade their bodies for a piece of ham sausage so that they could survive. Desperation can make a person do anything. And it was because of this time of destruction that the protagonist was reborn. Now he had returned to a time 1 month before the start of the apocalypse. The girl in the pink dress clung to the protagonist. Her curves were pressing into his hands. She flirtatiously said to him that after hearing what those people said, she was very scared, so could he. But before the girl could finish her sentence, the protagonist's stop had arrived. So he pushed the girl away from him and said as he left that he was sorry. He had very important tasks to complete. The girl was left astonished. She couldn't believe that someone would reject her and walk away, even with such an attractive body. The bus door closed in front of the girl's eyes, and she could only watch the protagonist leave. After getting off the bus, the protagonist began planning what preparations he needed to make to survive the apocalypse. A little later, the protagonist arrived outside a superstore. Memories flooded back to him about how, in his previous life, he used to wander around searching for goods. The protagonist worked as a delivery boy for this very superstore. He had already prepared for the impending apocalypse by wearing his jacket. As soon as the boss noticed him, he scolded the protagonist for being 20 seconds late. Consequently, the boss decided to deduct half a day's salary. Without any objection, the protagonist apologized and headed toward the area where the goods were stored. The protagonist had now entered the storage area. During the previous apocalypse, his boss had fled without paying him a year's worth of salary. As compensation, the protagonist would now keep all the goods here. He uttered the words, "Space open," and a blue light gate appeared. Before him, A notification screen displayed that rice, cooking oil, meat, and other items had been detected and were being automatically stored. The entire rack of goods vanished from the floor. This was the protagonist's power, spatial ability. As long as he could use this ability, he could store everything around him in a super large cubic space measuring 10,000 meters in length, width, and height, according to his current level. As he progressed, the size of his cubic space would increase. With this power, he could acquire goods without spending money. Using this ability, he even dried up 2 ponds during the apocalypse. He also looted several cities that were destined for destruction. Fresh food was no longer a distant dream. In his cubic space, time stood still, ensuring that food remained fresh indefinitely. Tears welled up in his eyes as he remembered the painful days of the apocalypse. Finally, he wouldn't have to scavenge for food like he did in his previous life. He moved his hands forward and opened an inventory screen. It displayed all the items he had collected: 210 bags of rice, 152 bottles of cooking oil, various fruits and vegetables, totaling 310 kilo, 220 crates of mineral water, 375 boxes of convenience food, 95 boxes of seasonings, 186 bottles of alcoholic beverages, and 20 boxes of toilet paper. After gathering all this, he could finally breathe a sigh of relief. However, just then, a voice came from near the door. A person was instructing others to shift the goods from this floor. As they entered the room, the boss and his workers were dumbfounded. They looked around, wondering if the goods had vanished into thin air or gone to the sky. The boss, in an angry tone, asked the protagonist where all the goods had disappeared. The protagonist remained silent, prompting the boss to say that he is talking to him. Where did all the goods go? But before anyone could get close to him, the protagonist used his space power and started to disappear. And before leaving, he told everyone that he took everything. The worker was about to catch the protagonist when his body disappeared from his sight, and all he could see was a waving hand. As soon as he said goodbye, that hand also disappeared. Both workers started looking for the protagonist. The boss was also surprised to see him disappear. Meanwhile, on the other side of the same building, a space gate opens. He was about to fall down from it, but he somersaults in the air and lands carefully, maintaining his balance. This is his second ability, Space Jump, which allows him to be in a space of 3 meters. He was very happy to have this ability because during the apocalypse, he would be able to easily enter empty buildings, find necessary items, and safely exit. If he even encounters a mutant beast, he can use Space Jump to escape from there in a critical situation. Now, his free-of-cost shopping mission was complete, so he took off his delivery boy jacket, threw it in the air, and started to leave. But then, his mobile rang. He saw that an emergency message had come on the mobile that there is a lot of movement on the Earth right now, due to which there is a possibility of an earthquake and storm. So, everyone should be cautious. But the situation is under control, which will not affect their daily life. So, no one should panic and keep calm. He sees that this message was officially issued by the government. He also feels that does the government also know about all this beforehand? Then his mobile starts to ring. When he sees the name showing on the mobile, anger clearly begins to appear on his face. This was a call from his girlfriend. Then he takes a deep breath to calm his anger and picks up the call and says, "Hello." Then his girlfriend from the other side says that does he really want to play hide and seek with her and wants to sell the house to a real estate agent? Is he so naive to think that even after selling the house, some girl would like to live with him? His girlfriend was so cunning that even while talking to him, she was warming the bed of another man. She tells him further that being a man, he has some responsibilities. She doesn't want his house, but she is a girl who needs security. If he doesn't give her a house as a gift, how will she feel secure with him? In response, he says, without any feeling, that does she have anything else to say? Then his girlfriend from the other side tells him to show his attitude to someone else. She is giving him another chance. He should come back now and make the ownership of the house in her name. Otherwise, she should forget about marrying him in this life. He just says that he is on the way now. When he comes back, then he will talk about this. And saying so, he he cuts the call. In his previous life, he had spent 5 years with his girlfriend in that apocalypse. Thinking about this, anger began to appear on his face. When the world was near its end, he went everywhere to find food for her so that she would not have to starve. He also took her to a safe place where there was no danger of any kind. If he wasn't with her at that time, she would have died of hunger long ago. But what did she do in return for him? Just one day, he came back empty-handed. She left him writhing there by giving him poison. Counting his last breaths, he could see that the affair of both of them was not from today, but was going on for a long time. The guy with golden hair hugged his girlfriend, and she started unbuttoning his shirt. The guy said that he was no longer of any use. Now they both will just have fun. Then the protagonist's girlfriend, rubbing the chest of the guy with golden hair, says that if he is dying today, then it was his incompetence. Then she pushes the guy with golden hair slightly back, spreading her legs, and says that he should tell, from his performance tonight, how capable he is. Just after that, our protagonist dies, after taking his last breaths. Now he was realizing how wrong he was in his previous life to trust a person who was not worthy of his trust. He clenches his fist and says with full anger that this time he will return the punishment of their deeds to both of them, along with the interest. He will not let them die so easily. The pain he endured, he will return it to them 10, no, 100 times. Then he takes a deep breath to cool his anger and gets ready to execute his next planning because he needed money to buy the rest of the stuff. But first, he figures out how to accumulate money. After that, he calls a manager, and as soon as the call is picked up, he says that he wants to sell his house at half price. But he has a condition that he needs all the cash today. A taxi stops outside the real estate office. As soon as he gets out of the taxi, he sees that his girlfriend and her best friend are waiting for him outside the real estate office. His girlfriend, showing tantrums, tells him that does he even know how long she has been waiting for him here? But he doesn't pay any attention to his girlfriend and tells her to move aside and starts going towards the office. But before he could go to the office, his girlfriend's best friend stops his way with a lot of arrogance and tells him with a baseball bat tapping his shoulder that how dare he sell his house. It is their house. Maybe he doesn't want to see tomorrow's sun. He just says that then a hand moves forward very quickly. This is our protagonist, who grabs his neck and lifts him in the air. Then he hits him hard on the ground with great speed, due to which his throat gets bad due to pain and blood starts coming out of his mouth. Then the protagonist, without any emotion, looks into his eyes and tells him not to make the mistake of calling his stuff his own again. Otherwise, his condition will be even worse. Then, his girlfriend starts pushing him from behind by pulling his jacket and tells him to leave her best friend, and starts screaming for help and starts calling him a murderer and abuses him. Then the protagonist slaps her with the back of his hand, due to which she falls to the ground. She was very surprised that the guy who used to obey all her words like a dog, today he slapped her. He still had her best friend's neck clenched. He cries out in pain and screams to let him go. Then the protagonist, with an evil smile, tells him not to worry. He is not going to die so soon. After that, he lets go of his neck, and the girl's best friend starts retreating in fear. Then the protagonist starts moving towards the main gate of the office, and his girlfriend, panicking, goes to her best friend and asks him worriedly, is he okay? But her best friend just keeps groaning in pain, holding his throat. Then, the protagonist's girlfriend turns back in great anger and warns him, screaming at him that she is not angry at his actions now, so he should apologize to her. Otherwise, he should forget about marrying her in this life. Then he, without any emotion, turns his neck back and starts staring at both of them. Then both of them get scared that he will not start beating them again. Then they start running from there. The girl's best friend threatens him while running that he will take revenge from him. After that, protagonist enters the office. As soon as he enters, the manager welcomes him very lovingly and serves him a glass of water. Then he asks him, is he ready to sell his house? After saying so much, the manager thinks in his evil mind that this boy is so foolish. The house, which is worth 10 million, this boy is selling it for only 700,000. Now he will sell this house to someone else quickly and earn millions of profit. Then the manager quickly picks up the contract papers from his table and starts moving towards him. Then he tells the manager that he needs all the cash. Can he give him all the cash today? Then the manager quickly tells him not to worry. He just signs on the papers and the money will be in his account. Then he signs the contract papers, immediately after which a notification comes on his mobile that 700,000 have been credited to his account. Then he comes out of the office. And thinking about his next plan, he starts leaving from there. Chengdu is inland in the Central Plains, which is safe from natural disasters such as earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions. The government here prevents rumors from spreading. Life in Chengdu is very organized. He was walking lost in his thoughts. Then suddenly he realized that he had seen something, so he quickly came back and started looking at the advertisement. That advertisement was for a loan. Then he quickly called the number written below and says that is this a loan company. He wants to take a loan by mortgaging his property papers. Then after a while, he reaches outside the building of the loan company. After entering the office, he asks how much loan he can get. He knew the person sitting in front. This loan manager was the elder brother of his girlfriend's best friend. He had seen with his own eyes how he was eaten by a mutant beast in his previous life. The loan manager tells him that he can take a loan of a maximum of 500,000. But first, he will have to give his property papers to him. Then he started hands over his property papers to him. Before the loan manager could pick up the papers, the protagonist places his hand on them and says he needs an additional 100,000 to make a deal. He assures the manager not to worry, promising to return all the money within a week after making a profit. The loan manager, with his cunning mind, thinks that the protagonist is a gambler. He is so addicted to gambling that he has come to mortgage his parents' house. The fool thinks he will change everything today. Then, the loan manager agrees to his proposal and transfers 600,000 to his account. Immediately, a notification arrives on his mobile that 600,000 have been credited to his account. After that, he leaves the office. His girlfriend and her best friend had also arrived there by taxi. The girl says that he had the audacity to slap her in public. He will have to pay for this. She will take over that house at any cost. Her best friend, feeling the pain in his throat, says that he will get him beaten up by his elder brother. He will now have to pay for this humiliation with his life. Then he will know who the boss is here. Just then, the girl's gaze falls on a boy who was walking away very comfortably. So the girl quickly calls her best friend and asks, "Is that boy doesn't look familiar?" Her best friend was still feeling the pain in his throat, and with a grimace, he said, "Oh yes, that's the same guy, but what is he doing here?" The girl, fueled by a desire for revenge, said, "Let's follow him and find out what he's been up to lately." Then, they both began to follow him. The protagonist had now arrived at the Green City Hotel. He remembered that the Green City Hotel was the one place that remained standing despite various natural disasters. It is a unique and sturdy building. As he walked towards the hotel's entrance, he thought to himself that the presidential suite was a very convenient and comfortable room, filled with all the necessary amenities. The presence of a swimming pool in the room was a clear sign of the place's luxury, and the place was so charming that there was no harm in making it his base for an extended period. For a life filled with luxury and comfort, there was no better place than the presidential suite. After entering the hotel and looking towards the warehouse, he recalled that this warehouse had been emptied before the apocalypse. But now, the hotel's warehouse was overflowing with food. Just then, the hotel's staff lady noticed him and began to approach. Greeting him, the staff lady said she was the manager of the hotel restaurant and asked how she could assist him. The hotel manager was very beautiful and well-mannered, her words exuding politeness. He then told the hotel manager that he needed to book 1,000 tables for a banquet. Upon hearing the request for 1,000 tables, the hotel manager was taken aback. She hurriedly asked him which price range he wanted to book, as their hotel had tables available at costs of 5,000, 10,000, 30,000, and up to 1 lakh per table. She wondered to herself if this seemingly ordinary-looking boy was actually a wealthy heir. Politely, he told the hotel manager that he wanted to book tables in the 10,000 range, which would cost 10 million. He was making a 50% deposit right away and requested that all the items be delivered to the address he had provided. He would pay the remaining balance after 1 week, and the hotel manager flatters him and says that it's okay. And showing him the way, she says that he should go to that cabin for payment. He goes to make the payment, and the manager thinks to herself that the cost of ingredients to cook is 5 million. But if she gets in touch with wealthy and influential people from this, then she can do this much. It is necessary to be skilled in conversation to succeed in business. After making the payment when he comes back, the hotel manager asks him, is he going to get marrying? Then he tells her that yes, he is going to get marrying. And he also wants to book a presidential suite. After saying so much, he starts leaving that hotel. After making this deal, he was feeling very happy because he had taken the dishes of 10 million in 5 million. And as far as paying the remaining payment is concerned, even an ice cube will be available for 1 billion during the apocalypse. Seeing him going, the hotel manager starts saying with great joy that booking a presidential suite for honeymoon is very spectacular. The girl who is going to get such a husband will be very lucky. As soon as he leaves, his girlfriend comes to the hotel manager with her best friend and starts asking what that boy was talking to you about. Then the hotel manager very politely asks her, what is she to him who wants to know about him? Then she says that he is my boyfriend. Then the hotel manager tells her that her boyfriend has given them an order of 10 million for the banquet, and he has already deposited 5 million. She is very lucky to have such a boyfriend. After saying so much, the hotel manager thinks to herself that this girl is not even that beautiful. She herself is more beautiful than her. I don't know why these rich people like such girls. As soon as they hear the name of the order of 10 million, both of them lose their senses. They say to the hotel manager in surprise that this cannot be. Did he have so much money that he could give an order of 10 million? Hearing the girl's words, the hotel manager feels that perhaps the boy had hidden his wealth from his girlfriend. So she tells her that rich people enjoy playing the game of hiding their identity. They are afraid that their partner may be after their money, so they reveal their true identity only on the wedding day. Then, hearing the hotel manager's words, she asks her, those people disappear before the wedding and start distancing themselves from their partner. The girl's best friend was also surprised and said that he was just a delivery boy. Was he really a rich man? Then the hotel manager shows her mobile to both of them and says that, look, he has made a payment of 5 million. As soon as they see this, their eyes widen in shock. After leaving the hotel, both of them come to the bench nearby, and the boy, taking a puff, asks his best friend, what does he think? Who will he invite to the banquet? Then she says with a feeling of pride that doesn't he understand yet? He wants to introduce her to his rich circle, and then he will tell them all that she is his wife. Hearing her words, her best friend stands up and tries to grab her melons and asks, what should they do then? Then she slaps his hand and tells him that she will make a plan to get closer to him, and then she will take advantage of that opportunity. After which, she starts imagining that she is sitting on the throne like a queen, and servants are serving her. While imagining this, she was feeling very happy. She says that she had never imagined this scenario in her life till today. And she had never even hoped that the delivery boy would turn out to be a rich man. After returning home, he sits at his study table and starts calculating that he only has 800,000 left, which will not be enough for his future plans. An idea comes to his mischievous mind that if he doesn't take an online loan at such a time, it would be an insult to those who give online loans. After that, he downloads more than 80 apps that provide online loans. He clicks selfies in different ways and takes a loan of 10 million. After completing the work, he lies down on his bed and starts taking a breath of relief. But then he remembers that the work is not finished yet. So he quickly sits up and starts remembering what else he needs to buy. Now he needed smokeless coal, ice blocks, an ice cream machine, and a bonfire, which he couldn't find in the supermarket. So he decided to buy from online direct wholesalers. He remembers how, after extreme heat, the biting cold had started. Therefore, he needed these things to live comfortably. After that, he calls the smokeless coal seller to find out the rate. Smokeless coal was available at $2,500 per ton. So he placed an order for 2,000 tons and told him that he would pay $500,000 now and the rest of the money after delivery. Immediately after that, he calls the ice factory and says that he wants to order ice blocks. Hearing such a large quantity order, the ice factory owner wanted to meet him, so he tells him that he is coming for a face-to-face discussion. After that, he starts going to the ice factory. But on the way, a girl calls out to him and asks how he is doing. As soon as he looks at the girl, she says that it had been many days since they met, and his girlfriend was missing him. So she thought, why not meet him? When he looks at his girlfriend and the girl, he remembers that this is the same girl who always pretended to be his close friend. It was because of this girl that he had let that girl stay in his house when she was not even his girlfriend. All of them together just wanted to seize his house. So, without any emotion, he looks at her and asks why she was missing him? Or was she missing his house? Seeing him leaving, the manager says that a common man cannot donate ice worth $800,000. He must be from a very rich family. Then the manager sees that another taxi was coming towards his factory, but he couldn't remember that he had called someone else to meet today. His girlfriend had also followed him here. She went to that man and said, while shyly arranging her hair, "Boss, he was my fiancé. Can you tell her what he came to talk to him about?" Both the girlfriends were workers in this ice factory, and the person in front was their boss. When his boss heard that she was calling that boy her fiancé, he was surprised and started thinking to himself, what does this mean to follow him like that? Are they playing detective? Then his boss tells the girl that he has just given him an order for ice worth $800,000. Hearing about the order of ice worth $800,000, both the girlfriend's senses flew away. Now, both of them were even more sure that he came from a very big family. Then the girlfriend's friend asks her boss with surprise, what did he tell? Why he is ordering so much ice? So his boss tells her that he was saying that he is donating it for charity. Hearing about charity, both the girlfriend's eyes widen with surprise. Now, according to his plans, he had bought all the things, so now was the time to have fun before the apocalypse. So he returns to Hotel Green City. In his previous life, he was just busy with work. He never went to a good restaurant. For him, even a small cafe was no less than a luxury in his previous life. He was just thinking about all this when a waitress comes to his table and takes his order. He sees that there are all kinds of delicious items in the menu, the names of which he was hearing for the first time. Then he sees that question mark is being served in 17,000 in the menu. So he asks the waitress if they sell question mark in 17,000. To clear his confusion, the waitress says that it is personally crafted by the head chef of our restaurant, about which she also doesn't know. But it is fully guaranteed that the food made by the head chef's hands will be very delicious. So while giving the order to the waitress, he says that it sounds something fun. So he wants to order this. Then the waitress takes his order and leaves from there. To avoid getting bored while waiting for his order, he takes out a book from the nearby bookshelf, the name of which was Shan Haijian, this serpent monster that he was seeing in this book. It looked exactly like the serpent that had come during the flood in his previous life. Now maybe his food had also arrived. This beautiful lady comes to his table and introduces herself to him and tells him that she is the head chef of this restaurant. And this dish that she has brought for him is very special. As soon as he sees the head chef, he is startled. This was one of his bad memories. She had become Hell's chef in the apocalypse, He still remembers that in his previous life, she was a head chef who turned into a Hell's Chef and possessed a magical culinary skill to turn decay into food. No one could resist such temptation. However, the dishes she made from the parts of monstrous beasts would cause anyone who ate them to die instantly. Seeing him startled by her presence, the head chef started wondering, why was he scared of her? Is he thinking that such a beautiful girl would poison his food and kill him? So she starts telling him about the speciality of the food. The name of the dish is Dual-Faced Life. One side of it is tuna fried in brown butter, and the other side is deep fried in puff pastry. It's a steak that retains the flavor of both sides until the last bite. After the head chef's explanation, he takes a bite of the food. As soon as the tuna piece melts in his mouth, he starts praising the food. He has to admit that paying $17,000 for this food is completely worth it. Then a thought crosses his mind that it would be great if she could cook for him during the apocalypse. But then he rejects this thought, thinking that who knows when she might poison his food, and he wouldn't even realize it. So, outside the same restaurant, two girls were watching him through the window, bothered by the mosquitoes. Her friend tells her that no dish in this restaurant is less than $10,000. Your future husband must be very rich. Remember, when you become a rich wife, don't forget this friend of yours. I am almost dying because of helping you. These mosquitoes have bitten me so much. Then she tells her friend that she will remain a rich wife. Now, our protagonist has arrived at the club to enjoy his life.